With Kingdom Hearts 4 on the horizon, I thought I would go back and replay all three of the numbered titles to see how I felt on their gameplay. While replaying these games, I made a conscious decision to play them by engaging with the mechanics of all of the bosses, enemies, whatever. So no cheese strats, no exploits like 0 XP damage storage in KH1. I played the games normally, like a casual player would. To no one's surprise, I'm sure, I thought KH1 and KH2 held up pretty well. KH1 is just a fantastic action RPG all around. You could feel each individual stat upgrade. Gaining one extra strength is felt. Magic has a bunch of uses in the combat and environment. They're not just different flavors of damage. Because KH1 magic is viable like this, you can, if you really wanted to, build into magic and MP and magic your way through the game. It's probably the only game in this series that is an RPG in this respect. KH2 is also great. Probably my favorite overall, depending on my mood. It's interchangeable with KH1 at the top. However, playing this game in a casual manner, engaging with the mechanics as I see them, exposes so many cracks in its systems and mechanics. When people say that KH2 is the best game in the series, it needs to be remembered that many of us have played KH2 multiple times and quite a few people know the game inside and out. But these games are not the focus here. KH3 is the latest game, and I assume KH4 will share many of the staff and designers that KH3 had. KH3 needs to be praised and criticised in all areas to ensure the developers know what is and isn't liked. Before I start, I need to be very clear here. I do not hate Kingdom Hearts 3. I think there is a lot to criticise about the game, but I really don't think that this game is at the bottom when games like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance exist. When I think to what annoyed me the most across my 3 playthroughs of Kingdom Hearts 3, the one thing that springs to mind is the physics, how Sora moves and how he feels to control. Not many people talk about this when discussing Kingdom Hearts 3 mechanically, and it kind of confuses me, because the big bad unspeakable word for this series is floaty. This came around with Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance because those games are kind of slow, there's no gravity when you attack in the air like in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but to me that's not floaty, that's just poor combat feel. What is floaty is Kingdom Hearts 3. In my opinion, this is the only game that actually fits into the floaty descriptor. So why do I think this game is floaty? Well, it comes down to Sora's movement. Just like in Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, you have no gravity with your actions in the air. What I mean by this is that in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, if you jump and attack, gravity takes effect at the start of your attack animation. In Kingdom Hearts 3, gravity takes effect after the animation ends. This lets you do your entire string without losing any height. But what's worse is that because of this, you can do an air finisher and immediately go back to attacking another enemy, once again losing next to no height. This leads to letting the player stay in the air indefinitely as long as there's an enemy around or just something to target. The best example I can think of is the Darkside fight at the very start of Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, at this point, you can see I have retreated to avoid the falling balls. At this point in Kingdom Hearts 1, I would be forced to attack the hand and wait for a specific attack to run up the arm and attack the head. How does Kingdom Hearts 3 handle this? Let's continue the clip. Yeah, the game just doesn't care. Provided you are in the air, you will lunge and home in on an enemy from a pretty decently large range. Now, before I go further, I do need to say that the hardest difficulty is typically the standard playthrough for these games. Kingdom Hearts 1 is Proud, Kingdom Hearts 2 is Crit, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is also Crit. But for some reason, the developers decided to break tradition and just give the player Combo Master at the start of the game for the Kingdom Hearts 3 Crit. Combo Master amplifies this problem significantly because it just lets you bypass all need to learn spacing. In Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 base game, you get Combo Master pretty late into the game. So the game kind of forces you to learn enemy and boss mechanics and the required spacing to deal with them properly. Okay, back to my point. Whether you start the game with Combo Master or get it where you are supposed to on lower difficulties, the physics are still a problem. And what frustrates me is that Kingdom Hearts as a franchise doesn't have the precedent for physics like this. I did actually doubt my own memory of the games after saying this, so I went back and played them. I started with 0.2 because it was intended to be the prologue to Kingdom Hearts 3. Because of that, the physics are similar, but there are some key differences. For example, when you do an air combo, yes, you can continue just like in Kingdom Hearts 3. However, there is a significantly higher delay between the combos than Kingdom Hearts 3. This lets 0.2 feel way more grounded as well, which in my opinion is how Kingdom Hearts should be, not aerial battles like Kingdom Hearts 3. I actually forgot about this, but 0.2 does indeed have a dark side fight. So let's compare. Again, in Kingdom Hearts 3, you can slide up the torso of the dark side to hit the head with very little resistance. In 0.2, the head isn't targetable until it does the homing darkness attack, the one where it gets on its knees and shoots projectiles at you that you need to block to deflect back. In my footage, this attack comes out at roughly half HP. So the problem exists in 0.2, but they sort of delay the inevitable by forcing you to focus on the hands. Okay, so while 0.2 has the same issues of Kingdom Hearts 3, it's still toned down and has some safeguards in place to stop you from being in the air at all times. So that's not the culprit. We know that Kingdom Hearts 3 was built off of the foundations of Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, as per interviews with Nomura. So were they the ones to set a precedent for the physics? I went and checked Dream Drop Distance. Outside of having no gravity, you can't stay in the air indefinitely like you can in 3. Once you do your combo finisher, you drop to the ground, and Birth by Sleep is exactly the same. So my question is this: where did this come from? The series as a whole has no precedent for having or needing physics like this. If the response is, well, they needed some ways to traverse the large areas, the question then becomes, why did they design the levels in such a way that required them to deconstruct all of the gameplay that came before? The basic physics of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 are perfectly fine. I would even go as far to say that the physics in those two games and the way you drop while attacking is a big part of why it feels so good. By the time you end a combo, you are, in most cases, nearly back on the ground. This reduces the time to starting your next air combo. This leads to combat feeling faster and snappier. Sora's movement animations in general do not help. His turn circle and general snap movements feel terrible. I'm really not sure what happened here. Maybe the move to Unreal Engine got them thinking the animations needed to have a more realistic flair to them. I don't know. Who knows? For example, the turn circle. If you notice in the footage, Sora has an animation for turning. He doesn't simply just move like in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. It's the same for moving left and right in any snappy way, like flicking the left stick back and forth. Sora has an animation for turning around, so it's not actually instant or near instant like in previous games. So Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't only feel floaty in the air, it can also feel floaty and somewhat unresponsive on the ground too. And again, same as the general physics, I don't know where this came from, because there's no precedent in the franchise for this. Hell, even Dream Drop Distance got this right. The game that felt so bad to play, I nearly quit getting footage, has good basic movement. This next point kinda covers physics and combat, so I'll use it to bridge them. Everything Sora does is massive. Every animation covers a wide area. Look at how high Sora can jump at the very start of Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like he starts the game with high jump, and I get it. The excuse is, once again, everything is so much bigger, so Sora needs to be able to deal with that. But the problem with this is, once again, why design the game in such a way that required deconstruction of what came before? The areas didn't need to be this wide. Enemies didn't need to be this spread out with the ability to go so high. It also doesn't help that when you do jump and let yourself drop, kind of feels like the game has to try and calculate if you drop normally or if the game needs to do the dive animation. There's a slight hang before Sora actually starts to drop, and this adds to the floaty feeling I was talking about. Sora's attack animations are really odd. Many are big AoE attacks when they don't really need to be. But I think the animation problem is showcased really nicely by abilities that are in KH2 and KH3. Let's take Flash Step. In Kingdom Hearts 2, it's a medium range gap closer. If it connects, it does an extra extremely fast hit. This allows you to follow up really fast, almost instantly. Now, let's take a look at Kingdom Hearts 3's version of Flash Step. It's still 2 hits and a medium range gap closer. However, look at how slow it is. It's a dash into upward strike into a jump for a downward strike. Hey, future me here. I was wrong. I just want to explain myself a little bit. The reason why I was using the wiki for footage of these two abilities, the KH2 and KH3 version, was that in general, the wiki is very, very, very good. They've got very good GIFs, they've got good information, whatever, right? Turns out, for some reason, the KH3 GIF has an extra strike at the end. I don't know why, but that's my fault for not checking in-game. But it's also the wiki's fault for having that. I can't even recreate that. I don't know what that strike is. I went looking for footage. I've done some New Game Plus with the ability, and I literally cannot recreate this GIF. I have no idea what this is. So I just want to say sorry. I'm not going to remove this Flash Step section because I think in general it's still quote unquote sort of correct. I do think the KH3 version is a little bit slower, but in general, sorry for breaking the video up as well. But get back to the video. Sorry. And I think this perfectly highlights the problem I have with the combat of KH3. There are barely any abilities that are fast and snappy. Guard Break is one of my favourite Kingdom Hearts 2 abilities. It's fast, it's snappy, you can feel the impact of it. It's great. It's not in Kingdom Hearts 3 as a standard ability, but second form does have it. Look at the animation. The guard break part of it is really nice. It looks and feels very similar to Kingdom Hearts 2's. But then they ruin it with a follow-up. I think this and Flash Step are great examples that show the missteps of Kingdom Hearts 3's combat design. Is any of this bad? No, not even close. But it kind of falls flat when the previous numbered title to release before this is considered by many to be one of the greatest action games of all time. Form changes, for example, I like them as a basic concept. They do feel like a natural evolution from dry forms. However, why do we have to build up to them? This is another case of things in Kingdom Hearts 3 not feeling snappy or fast. Using a dry form in Kingdom Hearts 2 is instant. It knocks enemies and bosses upward, allowing you to follow up pretty easily. In Kingdom Hearts 3, for example, activating a form change gives you a nice little cinematic and it can deal damage if the animation hits an enemy. But it's ultimately taking the control away from the player for flashiness. Form changes also fall into the same traps that Kingdom Hearts 2's did, where they only have niche uses and not really any good general use. At least in Kingdom Hearts 2, it kind of made sense because each dry form focused on one stat. Valor is strength, wisdom was magic, etc. In Kingdom Hearts 3, form changes are kind of just 9 times out of 10. You are better off just staying in base form. While on the topic of Keyblades, I am pretty indifferent to letting us upgrade the Keyblades. I appreciate that it allows us to continue using the same Keyblade for the most of the game if we like its ability and form change, but there's something about the way that Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 does it that just feels more balanced and interesting. Because magic and MP was actually important in Kingdom Hearts 1, it meant that Ultima Weapon wasn't necessarily the best Keyblade for that. So finding a good balance of strength for melee and MP for whatever magic you need to use is part of that game's strategy and build crafting. Kingdom Hearts 2 is way more about the abilities on the Keyblade itself. Stats still matter, but sometimes an ability can make it stronger than a Keyblade with higher stats. For example, Decisive Pumpkin outclasses Ultima Weapon in ground combos. Bond of Flame is better if you're spamming fire. Photon Debugger for thunder, etc. Yeah, you could say this makes Keyblades become more niche and only usable in specific situations, but at least they get used in those situations and are a bit more than just a stat stick. While writing this, I actually checked the KH Wiki to see what all of the Kingdom Hearts 3 Keyblades abilities were, and my god, what an insanely boring spread of abilities. It's mostly just Form Change Extender, the occasional Grand Magic, and a few Keyblades have an element boost when it's fully upgraded. Where's the fun in this? Where's the strategy? Ultimately, it's just equip Ultima Weapon to win, because it has the highest stat spread and best ability combo. Finally, I want to talk about the boss fights. I don't think these are explicitly bad or poorly designed. I have issues with their design and how they're made, but for the most part, it's down to the game design overall. For context's sake, this is going to mostly be talking about the data fights, because unfortunately, that's where 98% of the humanoid boss fights are. My biggest grievance with Kingdom Hearts 3's boss fights is the overuse of super armor. This isn't exclusive to boss fights in KH3, it's overused in general. For example, the basic Dusk has super armor. What this means is that if you attack them, they will ignore your hits and continue doing what they're doing. If Kingdom Hearts 3 devs kept reaction commands and reversals specifically, this would have been fine. But this isn't about basic enemies, this is about boss fight mechanics. The difference between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 boss design is that in Kingdom Hearts 2, bosses only get super armor when doing certain attacks. I don't believe it's all of them, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. In Kingdom Hearts 3, the boss fights have super armor at all times, and only become vulnerable during specific moments of attacks. That is a huge difference, and in my opinion is the main reason I don't really like Kingdom Hearts 3's data fights. They're not bad fights, I just don't really like how they feel. This way of designing a boss makes it feel more Souls-like in design than hack and slash. You're not creating your own openings. You're not using your kit in interesting ways to create your own strategies. It's the developers going, fight this boss the way we intend or die. But this isn't inherently a boss design problem. At least some of the problem is that Sora's kit is simply boring. Coupled with the bad physics I talked about earlier in the video, and you're bound to have less than satisfactory boss fights. Sora's kit in Kingdom Hearts 3 just doesn't have the quirks of Sora's kit in Kingdom Hearts 2. The reason why Kingdom Hearts 2 feels so good is that they designed Sora's kit with no specific intention in mind. So much of Sora's actions have parry frames, or can parry an attack, but they didn't add in that functionality for any specific situation in the game. I think a great showcase of this is Data Lexaeus. He has an attack that you need to block to trigger a reaction command for a combo. Shall we go over each of the ways you can deal with this attack to parry Lexaeus? Guard. Reflect. Slide dash. Flash step. Drive form activation. Final form glide. And that is just what I tested for this attack. I know for a fact aerial dodge has parry frames, but Lexaeus' attack is a bit too low for it to connect. That is 6 ways to deal with one singular attack. Contrast that with Kingdom Hearts 3's data fights, and that's just not really a thing. The only parryable attack that I'm aware of is Larxine's Thunderbolt attack, the one where she jumps forward and slams down twice. But that's the extent of it. It comes back to the developers having this play how we want or die mindset. Because instead of creating your own openings, it's now pretty much done for you through risk dodge and reprisals. It's honestly boring because everything feels set in stone. Every attack has a set way to deal with it. Every opening is the same, no matter what you do. In Kingdom Hearts 2, for example, there are many little intricacies present in boss fights that you can learn and then figure out ways to abuse. As far as I'm aware, every data boss in Kingdom Hearts 2 can be looped. Some are easier, like Axel, but for the most part, you have to work for it. A great example of this is Marluxia in Kingdom Hearts 2. He has a move where he teleports to the middle of the arena and he will spawn 3 large circles. However, for a few frames between spawning and getting the attack off, he is vulnerable to damage. Meaning, if you time your attacks right, you can combo him and skip that entire section of his fight. But you need to work for it. You need to learn and discover that. This design isn't present in Kingdom Hearts 3. You have to block every attack correctly. You have to dodge correctly. You have to see every attack through to its end. And again, it's very Souls-like in design, in which you're just waiting for the boss to get its weapon stuck and for the game to look you in the eyes and say, you are free to combo now. I really just don't like this direction of boss design. And going back to the super armor thing, I think Yozora has a great example in what I'm talking about. He has this attack where he tries to catch you twice in some orbs. It's very easy to dodge. However, if you do dodge both orbs, he stands there and just sort of aura farms for like 3 seconds. But it's not an opening. He'll take damage, but he won't react to your hits or anything. I don't really hate any of these boss fights, I just don't particularly find them all that fun. Kingdom Hearts 3 has all these little annoyances in its design that lead to the game feeling average or, in some cases, below average. Kingdom Hearts 3 as a package isn't a bad game, and I hope this video doesn't come across as me being a hater. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favourite franchises of all time because of how good the combat system of 1 and 2 is. So it's just kind of sad to see the franchise devolve in the way that it has. I'm willing to give the Kingdom Hearts dev team another chance. I really shouldn't because at this point, they've had 3 chances. Kingdom Hearts 3 swapped engines midway through development, so I can forgive the issues of this game at least somewhat. We know that reaction commands are making a return in Kingdom Hearts 4, so maybe the development team is finally building off the foundation of 1 and 2? Who knows? The screenshots they released last year include a screenshot of Mickey in what we assume is Scala. But what's notable about this screenshot for me is how small the room is, how close the chandeliers are together. This says to me that the dev team have maybe acknowledged how large Kingdom Hearts 3 was. Because, let's be real, if Kingdom Hearts 4 was going to have Kingdom Hearts 3's physics, jump height, air dash, etc., there would be no reason for the chandeliers to be that close. But this needs to be seen in motion, which I hope is this year. I hope Kingdom Hearts 4 is good. I really do. I would never hope for a game to be bad. It's just so hard to be optimistic with how the last 3 games have been. Coupled with yet another engine swap, like KH3, I don't know. I'm going to stay skeptical.